In the late 80s and early 90s, Dodge looked at the Mazda Miata, Chevy Corvette, Nissan 300ZX, and the Acura NSX and said, cute, but what if, hear us out, we built a sports car that actively tries to kill you? Thus the Dodge Viper was born, a 400 horsepower middle finger to reason. A car with no traction control, no stability control, no ABS at first, and airbags? We don't need no stinking airbags. Basically a Ferrari from Grand Theft Auto Vice City, except made by Americans on their lunch break while listening to MC Hammer. This is the Dodge Viper, a car so dangerous that even Nicolas Cage would say, I'll sit this one out.
Interesting choice of words.
Welcome to Auto Chatter, where facts, opinion, and speculation will be given. Give this one a like if you enjoyed it, please. Catch up if you missed any of my other videos, and consider subscribing if you haven't yet. Already done all the above? Then you rock, and thank you. Now let's get this one going. The Viper began in 1988, when Bob Lutz wanted Dodge to build a Cobra for the modern era. Tom Gale created its sinister looks, and Roy Soberg led a team to make the mechanicals. Carroll Shelby was even called in for marketing and promotion, a man who considered safety features to be less weight for no reason. The prototype debuted in 1989, when people were still wearing neon windbreakers and listening to Milli Vanilli. Highlighted tech specs were as followed: 8-liter V10, 8 liters, 400 horsepower, 450 pounds of torque, 6-speed manual, and a 3,200 pound curb weight. 0 to 60, 4.5 seconds. Safety, no. Cup holders, also no. It was basically a Hot Wheels car made real. When showed to all, the public went nuts. Lee Iacocca, Chrysler's chairman, was reluctant to throw $70 million at it for it to become a production vehicle, but made the decision in 1990 to greenlight it. That was actually not a lot of cash for an all-new car, even then. Lee Iacocca's own pet project before this one, that failed horribly, cost 5 times more to create. That would be the TC by Maserati, which probably needs its own chatter someday. The production Viper launched for 92 model year, right when Batman Returns was in theaters, grunge was everywhere, and people still used pagers. Specs that they bragged about included an 8-liter aluminum V10. This was based off the old Chrysler LA V8, but they approached their newly acquired car company Lamborghini to help develop a aluminum block 10-cylinder version. Seems weird, but they do make tractors too. Had 400 horsepower at 4,600 RPMs, 465 pounds of torque, a Borg-Warner T56 6-speed, 0 to 60 mid-4s, big fat tires all around. The weight came in about 3,200 pounds, which was about what a Camaro Z28 was then, but it had a lot more power. Side exit exhaust that doubled as a leg warmer or torture device. For the sake of weight savings, Chrysler added side curtains, not windows, curtains. Because apparently Dodge went to Bed Bath & Beyond and said, yeah, this'll do. Now what's also kind of interesting is what this car didn't have. No traction control, no ABS, no cruise control, no outside door handles. You reach for the inside ones to open the door, but it had door locks because of US government mandates. No airbags, no air conditioning at first, no automatic transmissions, and that tradition, like the cylinder count, stayed put. Another thing missing was a luxurious cabin, as car and driver compared the dash look and feel to sandpaper. The pedal placement was odd and offset to the left, because that big V10 needed a lot of real estate, so the brake pedal was where the clutch should probably be. Roof pieces were there in case you got stuck in a rainstorm somewhere. This was a car for 75-degree sunny days, as driving with the roof cover and plastic side window curtains in place would remind you of your buddy's old Jeep CJ, but a lot faster. But you have to respect just how anti-practical it was in favor of performance. At least it had carpeting, a tape deck, and a clock. Fuel economy was 14 combined, so slightly better than your neighbor's Chevy Suburban and a lot more fun to drive. MSRP in 1992 was about $52,000. Adjusted for today's money, that's about $115,000. The magazine said things like, ridiculous, impractical, and magnificent. The Viper is fast, but also fast at trying to kill you. Cornering feels like wrestling a crocodile in a phone booth. Sales-wise, for 92, first year 285 were sold, 93 was 1,043, 94 3,083, and 95 1,577. It was even a star on the small screen with Viper, a show taking place in the near future, and the car could transform from mild-mannered muscle machine into an armored assault weapon fighting crime or whatever. Looked like a 90s take on Knight Rider, but Chrysler was involved in the production, and there was plenty of promotional tie-ins. They even supplied some real Viper prototypes that were screen used. This really ran for 4 seasons? Anyway, if you are a fan, let me know in the comments. Now, this is the iconic blue with white striped GTS, a design so good it made every 12-year-old boy in America forget how multiplication worked. The power went up, 450 now, 490 pounds of torque, lighter chassis by about 60 pounds, better cooling, and it had real glass windows now like a grown-up car. The GTS also targeted enemies like the Corvette C5 and Ferrari F355, and every adolescent's metabolism. The tech specs were boosted, had revised cam profile, higher flow heads, larger throttle bodies, double wishbone suspension, huge 13-inch front brakes, 18-inch wheels. 0 to 60 was now down to about 4 seconds, and the top speed was 185. It appeared in Gran Turismo, Need for Speed 2, Forza, and basically every game where cars go fast and physics don't matter. Pricing was for 96 was now around $66,000, which is about $130,000 adjusted for today. Sales-wise, in 96 was about 1,043, 97 1,671, 98 1,388, 99 1,117, 2000 840. 2001 1288, and 2002 1427. Motor Trend proclaimed it the best performance car, and other reviewers' comments included a flamethrower disguised as a car, the automotive version of pushing your friend into a pool and hoping they can swim, and the best soundtrack you could get in 1997 besides the Spice Girls. I don't think that one was complimentary. Anyway. Chrysler redesigned the Viper during the Matrix Reloaded era, when everything looked pointy and metallic. Spec-wise, it was now an 8.3 V10 with 500 horsepower, 525 pounds of torque, 0 to 60 is now down to 3.9, 13-inch Brembos, and it had a more rigid chassis. It got safety upgrades too. ABS arrived in 2001, but traction control was still a forbidden topic. Dodge basically said, we'll keep you from locking up the brakes, but after that you're on your own, champ. Pop culture with Vipers was still very much a thing, pretty much driven by every villain in CSI Miami. It starred in Fast and Furious arcade games and even made cameos in movies like Too Fast, Too Furious, alongside early 2000s fashion crimes. It's the perfect car for someone who owned Oakley sunglasses, listened to Linkin Park, and had the green to make it rain. Pricing in 2003 was about $80,000, which today is $130 or so. Magazine testers said it was like being shot out of a cannon, but the cannon had opinions on your steering inputs. And more refined in the same sense that Mountain Dew Code Red is more refined than regular Mountain Dew. Sales-wise, 2003 was $1,875, 2004 $1,800, 2005 $1,652, and 2006 $1,503. And for this generation, they took the 8.3 liter, stroked it, massaged it, fed it creatine, and it delivered. It's now 8.4 liter V10, 600 horsepower, 560 pounds of torque, 0 to 60 down to the mid threes. Top speed 202. had a Tremec 6-speed manual, variable valve timing, and an available ACR or American Club Racer, a race car with a license plate. The Viper ACR went on to absolutely own supercars around the world, setting track records like nobody's business. Now, I think all Vipers look cool, but these seemed almost like some Corvette lovers styled it from certain angles to me. Cars showed up in Top Gear, of course, in Gran Turismo 5, and it handled like a mechanical bull. YouTubers in 2010 were using them as background flex props. It had the horsepower equivalent of the Dark Knight soundtrack, blasting at full volume. Sticker in 2008 was 89,000, which adjusted today is 125 to 130 range. Sales-wise for 08, 682, 09, 482, and 2010, 392. Chrysler's bankruptcy and the general state of the economy didn't help these poor reptiles. This gen ended up short-lived as a consequence, and Viper took a few model years off before shedding its skin into something new. Revised under the SRT brand and later rebranded as a Dodge again because Chrysler's naming schemes are like the show Lost, confusing but oddly compelling. The specs of the 8.4 V10 again. Horsepower is now 640 to 645, 600 pounds of torque. Car is now about 3,374 pounds, not much heavier than the original. Tremec 6-speed manual. Still no 2-pedal versions even for the last gen. Respect. Top speed, now 206. More aero options were now available than 1990s Lego Technic sets. The ACR Extreme, 1,700 pounds of downforce at 177 miles an hour. This was the track-ready one, and it certainly looked the part. Stability and traction control are finally available, but can be turned off at your own peril. These are considered the most civilized versions, but that doesn't mean you're driving a Caravan and it's faster than ever. This car became a regular on Doug DeMero's This Has No Reason to Exist bingo card, and was a favorite of people who still own Blu-ray collections and wear flat brim hats backwards. Pricing wise, in 2013 was about $100,000, which today is about $130,000. Sales in 13 was $591,000, 14 $760,000, 15 $676,000, 2016 $630,000, and 2017, which is the last, $585,000. Award-wise, the ACR version set lap records at 13 different tracks. It utterly embarrassed cars twice its price, and it was described by Road and Track as weaponized lap time. But after 2017 and 25 years, the Viper was shelved. So why did the Viper die? Well, the first thing, safety regulations said please stop. Side impact rules changing in 2017 required curtain airbags that the Viper chassis could not structurally support without a total redesign. Number 2, sales were not great. You can't survive selling fewer cars per year than a Toyota dealer sells Corollas before lunch. Number 3, Dodge was busy with Hellcats. Why keep making hand-built V10s when you can sell supercharged V8s like Girl Scout cookies? And they had back seats too. Number 4, it was too hardcore. You're going for a market that cross-shops Corvettes. The average vet buyer in 2017 was in their 60s and doesn't need a car that will rearrange your vertebrae. Number 5, it lived by the sword. And by the sword, I mean an 8.4-liter engine from the gates of Valhalla. Now, wasn't sure where to fit this in, but there was other cars produced that were Viper-based, at least in part. This includes the Alfa Romeo Zagato TZ3 Stradale, try saying that 3 times, and 9 of those were made. An English sports car called the Bristol Fighter, and 13 were created. The Devon GTX, a very short-lived company, and only 2 were made thanks to the economic downturn. Prefix Viper Medusa Roadster, a $35,000 conversion package for your Viper, making it a Roadster more like the original. 10 were created. And finally, the VLF Force 1, This was a collaboration with Hendrik Fisker, yeah, the Fisker car guy, Bob Lutz, and businessman Gilbert Verreel. These started at about 287,000, and 50 were slated to be made, but only about 5 hit the streets. It was available without a clutch pedal if desired too. Anyway, the Dodge Viper was not just a car, it was a statement. A statement that said, "I reject modernity, I embrace chaos." It was the last analog hyper-muscle car, a weapon disguised as a vehicle, and we're unlikely to ever see anything like it again, which is actually kind of sad. Anyway, this has been my Viper chatter, and I hope you liked it. And until next time, I'll be keeping the headlights on for you, and chatter out.